Silent Directive is a horror podcast. There are many themes some users may find disturbing. Please check the description before listening. Thank you. The Silent Directive. Episode 2. The Paiwan Effigy. After I became what I am, it took me at least a month to regain consciousness. If I wasn't careful, it would have never happened. I would have been lost in the vast space of everything ever. But I had a plan. An anchor. I used my name as my anchor. By saying my name on the tapes, I anchored myself to you, my listeners. But when I first regained consciousness, I wasn't in a location. I was fragmented across eons of space. Over the course of several months, I slowly collected my being. I didn't have control over it. I still don't. I simply find myself where I need to be, around to watch something happen. My first memory, the story I first observed, was one about an effigy. I wasn't watching like you would, not in a true linear fashion. I didn't know how the story would end, but I knew more details than I had observed. The first thing I remember seeing was a prison visitation room. It was an older woman speaking to her middle-aged son. I knew instantly he was in prison for murder. Violent murder. Premeditated and horrible. This man was not a good person. But the woman, his elderly mother, she was. She was there to visit and forgive him. She loved her son and truly believed he could be redeemed. She was a religious woman, but her religion would not save her son from the death penalty he was facing. Some people believe humans don't naturally have the capacity for violence, that it's only taught by our society. Others think differently. They believe humans have the inherent, natural, instinctual capacity for violence. I don't know which is true, even based on what I've seen. But I do know this. Humans have equal capacity and instinct for peace and for violence. Which, if you ask me, makes the choice of violence much, much more sickening. Her son was the latter. He chose violence, and he liked the feel of it. Maybe he was born wrong, maybe he was forged by experiences. Either way, 3 women were dead. Their skulls caved in from the meat tenderizer he used, and he liked that feeling of the crunch underneath his hands. This mother still believed in her son. She came to visit that day because she felt it would be the last time she would ever see him. He had received the death penalty because he had pleaded guilty in court. This alone did not earn him the death penalty, but upon seeing the utter lack of guilt on his face during the hearing, he was given a harsher punishment. Tomorrow night, a handgun would be placed on his back, aimed at his heart, and the trigger would be pulled. The Paiwan people of Taiwan are the second largest indigenous group of that country. This mother was one of these people. Part of her beliefs, as is common with many Asian cultures, as well as others, was the idea of healing dolls, or rather, effigies. This mother wanted to save her son's soul. While most effigies and rituals are used for physical healing, she attempted something new, all in an effort to maybe cleanse her son's soul, which she believed was corrupted, damaged, ill, not rotten. Using a lock of her son's baby hair, she constructed one of these effigies. She meditated and prayed all she could, barely sleeping or eating. She wasn't there for the execution. It wasn't public. She didn't even know for sure when it would happen. No one did. Only the executioner. But somehow, she knew it happened the next night. As she meditated, she could feel it, hear it, the gunshot. Her candles flickered with the echo. And that was that. He was gone. Call it spiritual, call it a mother's instincts, she just knew. But I knew, just as you do, it was not over. That it was all only just beginning. The mother did not sleep that night. She couldn't. She was too worried. She was too sad. During some late hour of the night, as she tossed and turned in bed, she took a look around her bedroom. It was empty as usual, and dark. The only light was the dim glow from the moon, leaving a streak across her wall. There was a figure standing in her doorway. She gasped, shot up, turned on her light. There was no figure. Her room was empty, quiet. Keeping her eyes on the doorway, she turned her light off. There was a shadow. No figure, no person, just a shadow. She let out a breath of relief and laid back down. Yet no sleep came. About 3 years before, the woman's cousin had visited her home. One of those nights, her cousin was up late, working, sitting at the desk in the corner of the bedroom. She struggled to sleep that night, knowing that there was someone awake and possibly watching her. The exact same feeling came over her in this moment. If there was any hope of sleep before, it was gone now. Then she found herself in the kitchen, getting a glass of water. She wasn't alone. She was sure of it. As she drank, she found herself pressing her back to the fridge. Maybe then nothing could sneak up on her. But that was silly, she knew it. But she didn't feel it. She felt the faint touch of a hand brushing against the side of her arm. There was no one there. No one. The voice coming from her bedroom said differently. It wasn't saying anything, but it was clear, and it was a voice. She made up her mind to investigate. She grabbed a knife from the kitchen and slowly made her way to her bedroom. If she had only noticed that the other tool she kept in the knife drawer was missing. She turned the lamp on, casting light across the room. It was empty. The bed was still messy. She felt stupid, scared of the dark. She set the knife down and turned the light back off. As the light left the room, she was able to see a dark figure sitting on her bed, its back to her. She screamed and turned the lights back on. It was gone. It was never there. With the knife back in her hand, she studied the room. Had they moved? Then she noticed something that made her blood run cold. The spot on the bed, right where it had been sitting, was indented, as if there was a person still sitting there. She flipped the lights back off, and there it was again, the figure, sitting on the bed. This time its back wasn't turned. It had shifted, and it was turned to look at her. Through the dark and disfigured and vague face, she was able to recognize her son. She gasped, dropped the knife, and turned the lights back on. She wanted to see him, of course. He was here, alive and free. As light filled the room, her son disappeared. If only she was able to foresee, if only she weren't blinded by innocent love, she would have noticed the signs of danger. She just wanted to see her son again. So she turned off the lights, and the figure reappeared, right in front of her. She gasped in surprise and went to move away, but it was too late. Her son leapt forward, tackling her to the ground. She yelled and fought, still too surprised and confused to make a choice. He raised his arm, and his mother looked in horror, as the last thing she saw was her own meat tenderizer in his dark, shadowy hand. And she died, beat to death by her own son's spirit. Because in life he had chosen violence, so in death it was all he knew. And that was that. She was discovered later on. Many in close circles believe it was her son's spirit that killed her, while officials stayed on the lookout for a copycat killer. But 2 months after she was discovered, a close friend of the family snuck into the house, took the effigy, and burned it. That is all I saw before I found myself elsewhere. I'm not sure why that was the first thing I remember, but it was a horrid story. An innocent, loving mother, too trusting, too forgiving, killed by her own son, only because she had tried to save him. To leave a moral, if I deem it necessary, I'd say, be careful with forgiveness. Some don't deserve it.